Ladies and gents, we are back with Netflix Drive to Survive, Season 3, Episode 3, and today is real clear-cut case of this guy's number 1 and you're number 2, my man, and you're kicked to the curb and we don't give a damn what you think.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh. I mean, guys, this episode, it's kind of horrible, you know? You just hear I'm even stuttering already. Because, you know, the conflict I have here is that this actually brings back a lot of memories for me, right? When I was racing, I wasn't the number 1 guy. Then there was sometimes I was the number 2 guy. And, you know, it's a horrible feeling being number 2. Of course, it's great being the number 1 fella. There's no doubt about it. But it just, you know, what I really want to do here today, guys, is trying to help myself here, actually, maybe as well, heal from my past, right? But not only that, help you guys, because I think there's a really good lesson here, because this can happen to everybody here in life. This isn't just about racing. If you really pay attention to this episode, you can probably relate yourselves, guys, because you can see, holy shit, this happens at my work. You know, they prefer John. Oh my God, Johnny's always getting what he wants. He's always getting the new laptop for his coding, and whereas they always just look at me like, well, why don't you just use your own computer, Dave? You know? Like, I think there's a lot of areas where everybody can relate to something here, and this is just so clear cut in this episode, guys. Let's get into it. So, now, you know the way guys look, before I get in, I'm sorry to interrupt this, but sometimes I try and, you know, lay out the structure of where I want to start in an episode of Drive to Survive, right? Because sometimes, you know, you need to have a sort of a direction, right? You don't want to be going all over the place. But for Drive to Survive, I'm going to just actually go the complete opposite way. I need to actually go scene by scene, because when you're watching the episode, they do kind of jump around a bit, which is kind of strange, but look, it just still works. It really does work. So I'm going to go in, as you'd say, real time, as in what they have on the scene, on the program. They're flashing to this person. I'm going to talk about that scene. Then the next part that they go to, then I'm going to go there. And then I'm going to give you my breakdown, guys. So, let's get into it. So today is really, guys, like we're saying about number 1 and number 2, we're focusing in on the Mercedes team. And here we have Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, teammates. And we're really getting into a couple of jabs. Who's the number 1? Is there a number 1? Toto Wolff is having a chat. So even at the start of the episode, we go straight into Valtteri Bottas, and he hears Lewis singing in the background. Now Lewis is in the next room, and he's singing away. And of course, Bottas starts to laugh his ass off because he's like, "Oh, guys, Lewis is singing in the back here." Bit of piss take, of course, right? So there is always that with drivers, guys, all right? You know, especially if you don't get on with the guy and he says, you know, he should stick to driving, not singing. Obviously a bit of a jab there. This happens all the time, just like anything in real life. And then we flash over to, here we go with the real start of the shit now, okay? Then they flash over to Toto Wolff. So then they're asking Toto, is Bottas a wingman? Now, that is one hell of a loaded question to answer for a team boss, because he can't tell you the truth. There's no way he's going to say, yeah, of course he's a wingman. Duh, hello. Like, open your eyes, man. What the hell's wrong with you? No, that's not happening. And it's just funny because Toto literally goes around to the camera and says, fuck you. And then he tries to put a little smile on his face. But what's going on here, guys? You know, like I said, there's no possible way. If he admitted that Valtteri Bottas is his number 2. And by the way, as we go on the episode here, we're going to see that he's number 2. And believe you me, at the end of this, holy God, you're going to go, wow, he is number 2. he can't say that. You've got sponsors. Sponsors would probably pull out. And, I know the racing world where sponsors is so bloody important. And you've got to play the game in a way for them. And, of course, you've got to be, present well. You can't be cursing on the TV, even though these days there's a bit of a giveaway on that. But still, you've got to be careful what you do. And Toto, he can't admit it. Valtteri Bottas number 2. It would cause a nuclear destruction bomb on Valtteri Bottas' side of the team. All the journalists in the world would go mental over it. It would be the talking point for months and months and months and months. Lewis Hamilton would probably hate it. There'd be angry villagers out to get him, the people that don't follow him or don't like him. I mean, everybody loses here. Now, so I genuinely can actually understand where Toto Wolff is coming from here. So then we flash over to Valtteri Bottas, and he's at home in Finland. He's obviously on a little bit of a break here. And what I like about this one is you just see a little bit of him, right? Just a little touch of what the racing driver is going through. He's in a sauna with his manager and they're talking. And the manager asks him, how do you feel? And then Bottas says, of course, it's not all about driving, is it? But hey, that's the way it is. Now, what does he mean when he says, well, it's not all about the driving? Now, he obviously, before he said that, he said, well, hopefully, I'm feeling good, but of course, it's not all about the driving. Now, that sounds weird, doesn't it? That's like a gymnast saying, well, actually, it's not all about my somersaults I do in cartwheels. You'd be like looking at them going, huh? What are you talking about? What he's saying there, and he's dropping a hint to the cameras, guys, okay? He's dropping a big hint, is that it's about the equipment he's getting. It's not all about the driving. It's about the politics in the background. In other words, the backroom chat. Who is number one? Who do we want to win, guys? Then, from that discussion behind the scenes, then they decide who gets the best equipment. This happens in so many walks of motor racing, guys. It happens in every motor racing out there. And it's just the way it is. So it's not all about the driving. It's about the back room, behind the scenes, who's pulling the strings, who does the team want to win. That's what he's really hinting at here. Of course, he can't say that out loud, but that's a hint. So, then we flash over now. I think this was a fascinating Grand Prix, lads. And then we get to the Russian Grand Prix. And then Bottas is saying we're teeing it up here. Bottas, he says he really wants to win. Hamilton's always is going for the record of 91 wins. To equal the record of 91 wins that Michael Schumacher got. So if Hamilton wins today, he's neck and neck, 91 wins each for Hamilton and Schumacher. So, I mean, let's be honest, that's a incredible an achievement. I mean, it's incredible. There's no doubt about it. So there's a lot at stake here. And Valtteri Bottas just wants to stick the knife into Hamilton. Of course he does. He wouldn't blame him for 1 second. He doesn't want him getting the 91 wins. He wants to slow him down as much as he can to not get anywhere near the 91. So then, Mercedes are having a team meeting. Now, here's another giveaway for you. Bottas doesn't show up in the room where they're having a meeting. So you've got Lewis Hamilton and you've got the other mechanic engineer. I don't know exactly what his role is. Maybe this guy's role, guys, is to, get everybody together and he takes feedback from both drivers. I don't know exactly, all right? So you'd have to give me a little bit of rope on that one. So anyway, at the same time, even though Valtteri Bottas is not in the same room, Hamilton and this other guy are in the room and they're meant to have the meeting, 2 drivers and this guy. Hamilton says, well, where is he? Where's he gone? Valtteri Bottas is sitting in another room at the same track on a video call with Hamilton and this other guy. Now, why in God's name would that happen? Guys, that doesn't happen unless there's serious tension in that team. Because every team meeting that you go to, I've been there loads of times, every team meeting you go to, you always have a sit down, excuse me, with your drivers and the team. Now, you can have some serious, super, and I'm sure, guys, a lot of you can relate to this, you know, at your work, right? Where you don't get on with you don't get on with Johnny, but yet you all got to sit around and sit there and there's awkward tension. That's what's going on here, you know? There's nothing rocket science about this. These guys just don't get on. Now, Hamilton throws a little jab. Hey, where's he gone? Like, really wanted to highlight it, didn't he? But hey, look, at the end of the day, we don't know who's a dick or who's not a dick, you know? So maybe Bottas has been throwing so many jabs when the cameras are not around. Hamilton's well, fuck it. Now, they shouldn't be doing it anyway, but anyway, they are. So then, they're having their video meeting with Bottas, even though he's in another room at the track. And we flash over to the Grand Prix itself, guys. And then a mechanic asks Toto, do you think Bottas can be champion? Here's another giveaway. All right? Picture this. Mechanic, some guy who works for the team. He's driving the car from hotel to the track on one of the race weekend mornings. Toto Wolff is in the back seat of the car, and the guy asks, with Netflix right there, do you think Bottas can be champion? Now, Toto literally just turns around and says, I think Bottas has no doubt in his mind he can be, but he's up against Lewis Hamilton. He didn't answer the question. And I'll tell you why in a second, because give me a second here now on this one. He didn't answer the question. Really, really simple question to answer, right? He could have said, yeah, possible. Or, no, I don't think so. Or, well, maybe. He's got it. But, yeah, right? Now, okay, these are sort of wishy-washy answers. He could have given a little bit more, but he just put it on Valtteri that I think there's no doubt in his mind he can be the champion. Right. So then, we're going to come back to this one in a moment, guys. Then he answers, he asks, oh, do you get nervous? Same guy in the car asks Toto Wolff, do you get nervous, Toto, on qualifying day? Toto has one word answer for him. No. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, the fat lady has sung, Elvis has left the building. Problem solved. Job done. There you go. Nope. That's it. That's all you got to say. But Toto Wolff is a German, and let's be honest, a lot of German people are very straight to the point, and I love that, right? I love that approach to things. It's a brilliant way to do it. And he just answers the question, no. Now, why didn't he just say the same thing about Valtteri Bottas? So he's very capable of answering a direct question, but why didn't he do it for Valtteri Bottas? I mean, he could have just turned around and said, right, just to play to the cameras, he could have went, do you think Bottas could be champion? Yes. Doesn't mean he's going to be champion, but he could be champion. In other words, it can happen, right? So why didn't he just go with that? Let's leave you with that one for now in a minute. We'll come back to that. So then, we get into the qualifying. Now, huge controversy around this one. Now, guys, this is one of the, if you listen to any of the Formula 1 previews I do and highlights, this track is kind of like Spain. It's got, on the main straight, it's got a huge long straight, right? They're getting up to 200 mile an hour, and then they brake hard going into a right-left chicane. And because of this huge long straight, you can get a slipstream, or also known as a tow. Now, I'm sure, look, some of you know, but if you don't, I'll just explain it quickly. Slipstream, you got a car ahead of you, you go right behind the person, therefore the wind is not slowing you down. And the car ahead of you is actually taking that wind, and they're getting slowed down, whereas you just creep up, and then you slip out, and then you gain some time because you've been blocked by the wind, which is a great thing. So, in qualifying, It's very like Spain because they've got that big long straight, and if you qualify first or even third on the grid for a track like Russia or Spain, you get an advantage. In fact, if anything, you want to qualify third because you'll get that slipstream on the start line. When the light goes to green, you'll get behind the guy in front of you, and then you can get that slipstream and then slip out, and boom, you take the lead going into turn one. Happens a lot of times. So what happened here is Bottas, they're thinking, oh, Hamilton puts it on pole, Bottas is a little slower, but all of a sudden Bottas is going on the main straight and Max Verstappen is behind him, and Max Verstappen happens to get a slipstream, a tow from Valtteri Bottas. Now, even the Mercedes team here at this stage are questioning, oh, did he give him a slipstream, a tow? And there's this, yes, no, maybe, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on here, guys, right? I mean, this is another sign that they don't want this guy to be winning the championship. Okay? They don't. Because if they wanted Bottas, let's say, to win the championship, they would have went, clever boy. And you'd actually be delighted, right? Even for me, guys, I know what this is like. I've been to tracks where I didn't qualify on pole. I'd come in third or fourth. But again, kind of like Russia and Spain, you want to start on the second row. You want to be in third or fourth. You don't want this for first and second. So there's been sometimes I'd come in off the grid and I'd look at my engineer and I'd give him a wink like, nice. And we'd almost have a laugh because we're celebrating qualifying in third or fourth. You know, so it is kind of funny. It's almost comedic, you know, like, oh, thank God I didn't get pole. So this is a big thing in their team here where they're wondering, oh, but if he was number one, they'd be like, nice, clever Valtteri, good man, good man. They wouldn't be going around bitching. This is my point, right? So again, there's internal fucking fights, demons here going on, lads, that it's messing them up. Now, Valtteri Bottas starts on third, and then Hamilton, even in an interview before the race, he's like, well, oh, I don't know why he'd do that if he gave him a slipstream or a tow. That's total, utter crap talk coming from Hamilton, guys. Number one, if Valtteri Bottas actually, see, here we got all the politics in racing, right, and all the drama. If Valtteri Bottas did it on purpose, Hamilton knows exactly why he did it. And then Hamilton, this was a sneaky move by Hamilton. You know, it was a sneaky move. Going on TV and saying, I don't know why he'd do that. Playing all innocent. Number one, guys, he knows exactly. Again, we're assuming if Valtteri Bottas would do that, that he'd give Max Verstappen a tow, because he wanted Max Verstappen to start on second position or on the front row. And again, Valtteri Bottas would be in third. So he knows what he's up to. Okay? He could have easily just come on TV and said, well, look, hey, all right, I got to give it to him. Hey, look, he knows third position's a good spot to start from. He was clever enough. Like, he'd give it to the guy. You know, but to go on and pretend, why would he do that? What? He was like a little baby that got his candy taken from him and got a slap on the wrist for being a bad boy. What? Why? What? No, I just don't know why he'd do that. He knows exactly what the story is. Now, and that's again if he did do it on purpose. If he didn't do it on purpose, well, it just did work out for him. For me, I think he did do it on purpose. And that's nothing bad. Absolutely not. That's called being smart. A very smart boy. Give up the position. I'll get these boys in turn 1 and turn 2. So, anyway, then we move on. And then Hamilton says, well, you know, and this is all sort of the innocent, well, we're always, like, I've always been teammates. I'm friends with my teammates. Like, really? Now, okay, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton were friends in their karting days. Now, it's very rare, guys, that you'll have two teammates that are real good friends, right? In karting, you're a little bit more innocent, okay, you know, and there's a little more playtime, and you know, it's not Formula One where it's so super intense, right? So you can understand that Hamilton and Nico Rosberg were friends back in the day. It's still very rare. Normally you'd be friends with the guy, okay, he could be in the same class as you, but he wouldn't be your teammate. But again, look, it does happen. So at the same time, he brings it up on camera, and there was no need to, because he's almost like playing the innocent little victim. I thought we were friends, me and Valtteri. Like, why is he saying that at the Russian Grand Prix? Why? He didn't say it all throughout the year. I don't think now, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think I've ever heard him say that about any other teammate ever. So why is he saying that, well, I've always been friends with my teammates, and, you know, like he's basically making out, I like to be pals and help each other out. Lads, total crap talk from Hamilton. It's just so many little devious little unbelievable moments. Incredible. And then we get on to then again Hamilton playing up to the camera. And then Hamilton's in the car, right? He's with that girl, the blondie girl, his assistant back in the days. I know we're going back a few years ago. But again, Hamilton is saying to the camera, and he knows Netflix is recording this. He says, what? He's not here? He's gone already? And then he says, yeah, oh, well, hey, we're always the last to leave. We're always the last to leave. As in, like, he's the man. As in, like, what he's trying to say here is that I'm always the last to leave because I want to make sure I've got the full capacity out of my car and my team on the Saturday night of qualifying for the race tomorrow. And I want to make sure all my I's are dotted, my T's are crossed, etc., etc., etc. Blah, 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 blah. And he's playing up for the camera. He wants to show everybody how much of a big worker he is and how much he never lets go and never gives up, and he wants the best for him. Even though, what did we look, guys, in, was it season 2, where we saw Hamilton he had a bad race and he was down in 10th position and he wanted to retire the car, even though he could have got 1 championship point. Yeah, and real champions never give up. They'll bleed for that 1 championship point. But anyway, he wants to show everybody how wonderful he is, the last to leave, right? Imagine, you know, that guy at work, guys. Can you imagine saying that? Like, Hamilton saying that is almost like going up to the boss in front of you and the rest of your gang at work, saying, "Hey, John," the boss man. "Hey, John, I was the last to leave last night." You know, And anyway, yes, some drivers do leave early, some drivers do leave late, but he's always the last to leave? No, I'm not buying it, son. Forget it. So then we get to the, this is the interesting one here, guys, the actual race itself. So, as you may have seen, when they're coming out on the warm-up lap, okay, they leave the pit lane, and what they're doing is they leave the pit lane, they take 1 lap around the track, and then they form up on the grid. And what we see here is Hamilton then leaving the pit lane, and as they're leaving the pit lane, they take a right, okay, as you know, they go all the way down the end of the pit lane, then they take a right, and then they go onto the track at some stage. Before they take that right, you'll see now when you watch that episode, before they take that right, there's a box, okay, on the right hand side, and this is before you turn. So in other words, it's still on the straight part of the pit lane here, and you go into that box here and you pull off into that box because it's the safest part. In other words, if there's someone behind you that wants to exit the pit lane, well then if you're pulling off, well then obviously they can keep going safely. But the whole point of this box here is that they're doing a practice start, and that's where people can do their practice start. So Hamilton ignores the box, he goes onto the straight and through that corner, and then at the end of the pit lane, he stops his car and then he does a practice start there. Now guys, you'll see it now in the video, but What the hell was he thinking? Mind boggles me, guys, because that was number one, it was a dangerous place. Number two, all the drivers know in the rules, and at every track they go to, they all know where that box, that safe box as you call it, they all know where that is. They've been told at every race weekend. And then all of a sudden, Hamilton, for the first time in this year, ignores the box, goes on to the end of the pit lane. No one ever starts at the end of the pit lane, guys, for a jump start. Maybe sometimes you'll see a car that stops at the end of a pit lane because they've had a problem with their car. Then they actually manage to, they've reignited the engine and off they go again. But that wasn't happening. So I don't know what the hell he was thinking here. Honest to God, it just mind boggles me. And here's the worst part. Hamilton knows, okay? He knows that he did something wrong here. And then we go into the race. Now bear with me, I'm just looking at my notes here, guys. And we go into the race. Hamilton does start from the front row here. Now, nothing actually happened to him here yet. So, as we go through the race, we see, right, okay, race starts, then the FIA come on and give him a 10-second penalty. And they were dead right to do it. And then Hamilton comes on the radio, "Oh, really? This is crazy, man," and bitching and moaning is all his usual bollocks. And just mad. He should have got more than a 10-second penalty. That was a crazy place to stop, guys, because all the drivers know where to stop, and he decided to do it at the end of the pit lane. Anyway, okay. Jesus. And even Hamilton said this. He comes on the radio. "I've done this a million times. They're all trying to get me." That was pure paranoid talk, guys. Pure paranoid talk. He knew what he did wrong, and that was it. Now, look, if you're listening to my podcast episodes, guys, on the 2024, I mean, we're going back 3 years now of Netflix, right? But in fairness, even Hamilton made me cry there last week at Silverstone when he won. I mean, I think the guy's grown a lot. I honestly do think he has. And he fucking needed to get his ass kicked, humble himself. And I hopefully he has from now on. And hopefully he's going to be a nicer guy, less bitching, less moaning. He still does, but not as much. But anyway, guys, back to the Netflix. So the other part of this here, and this is where this is the giveaway. If you can't see it, guys, right now, and maybe you're unsure, because look, in fairness, the racing world, look, I know it inside out, so maybe it's sometime, if I went into your business, maybe I wouldn't have a clue. I'd be like, oh, well, I don't know, man. I don't get it, So I'd understand maybe if some people don't see it right now. But right here, right now, at the end of this episode, if there was all indications how little they wanted Bottas to win and how much they favoured Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas wins the Grand Prix here in this Netflix episode. And at the end of the program, ladies and gentlemen, you see Toto Wolff leaving. He left the track, and then Valtteri Bottas is in the Mercedes building on the track, and all the mechanics and engineers gone home. The guy just won, and normally if you win, no one's going home, especially the team boss. He's hanging around. They're going to have a discussion. Even if there's not a discussion, what they'll do is they'll sit around and chat, or they'll have a couple of beers together, right? And this is a very, very important part for any driver, guys. You need to make sure, and especially for the team boss here, the team boss needs to be at the track to show support, right? Keep the momentum up. Keep the team spirit up. You don't leave. You don't leave the track when your other boy has just won the fucking race. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen where over the Grand Prix where you see some guy win, And then if you maybe watch Ted's Notebook on Sky Sports, or if maybe you're watching a different channel, but they do the post-race discussions and etc. and pit walkabout. And then you'll see a lot of the time where the team line up all the cars, right? Everybody's there, and then they've got their pit board and they say Lewis P1, something like that, you know what I mean? And then they're popping champagne, they're taking a big group photo, right? This stuff is important. This stuff is very important to keep the morale up, to keep the spirit up. You know, you celebrate the victory. You don't pack the bags and out the door, get your next flight home. And really, Toto Wolff, that was a shameful thing he did. But again, it just goes to show who their number one golden boy is, because there was no way on earth he would have left if Lewis Hamilton won that race. No way on earth. So ladies and gents, anyway, that was Season 3, Episode 3. We'll be back with Season 3, Episode 4 on Monday. So guys, again, just you gotta watch it. Check out this episode. This is actually one of the better ones, I think, because it's so accurate. It's so accurate. Almost frightens me how accurate it is. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh.